Going back to something that you said about, failures, you're supposed to fail in business. If everyone was meant to succeed, no one would understand what resiliency and struggle is. And for me, I've always and continue to pride myself on overcoming obstacles, learning from my failures and my lessons to become better, to then be able to show other people how not to make the same mistakes that I did. And I think that is what leaders do. I think that's what people that care about other people do. And
Are you tired of working more for less profits in your home service business? What if I could show you $100,000 in hidden annual profits in your business in less than 3 minutes? Would you be interested? And not only show you where, but how to create that 100K in 6 months or less without additional advertising or marketing spend guaranteed. Just go to sharpenthespearcoaching.com to see how truly simple it is. That's sharpenthespearcoaching.com. Do it now. And we are back on STS Sharpen the Spear podcast with another incredible guest. I've got Scott Aaron with us today, and I'm excited for this conversation. And as we always do on STS, Scott, no one knows Scott better than Scott. So, Scott, give us that little backstory, fill us in, and let's get into our conversation.
Awesome. Thank you, Richard. Grateful and honored to be here, and just appreciate the opportunity. As Richard said, my name is Scott Aaron. I live in southern New Jersey, originally from the Philadelphia area, born and raised. And what I'm doing now really has nothing to do with how it all, I guess, began for me. I had a extensive career in the health and wellness industry from 1998 to 2016. I owned and operated 3 different family health clubs. I was a certified personal trainer, sports nutritionist. I did corporate wellness speaking. And a lot of that kind of came about, I would say, unintentionally at the time. But obviously, there's always a bigger, I would say, intention that's always kind of circulating. So I come from a long line of entrepreneurs. My great-grandfather, who was the first generation here in the States in the early 1900s, was a butcher in South Philadelphia. My grandfather, who recently just passed at 97 years young, he owned his own pharmacy. And my father owned various industrial businesses and still in the health and wellness industry today at 72 years young. And then myself. And my father, will openly admit that he made some bad business decisions through his career. And one of those decisions landed him in federal prison for 2.5 years. At this time, I was finishing up my freshman year at the University of Pittsburgh. My sister was finishing her sophomore year of high school. And we were kind of navigating through what our next move would be since, I was in college, my sister was in high school, my mom worked part-time doing sales at a boutique, and we really didn't know what to do. And my dad, in between pleading guilty to sentencing, there was about an 8-month grace period in between that time. And that's when he decided to, with the help of my 2 grandfathers at the time, purchase a failing fitness club in downtown Philadelphia. This was not outside the box for my family. My father had always been into bodybuilding and weightlifting, and it was a passion of his. I used to go to the gym with him as a little kid and watch him work out with his trainer, Bruce, who he still works out with to today. My dad, currently, he competes in competitive bench pressing contests, as do I. Now it's more of a passion for me. It's still a business for him. But my dad knew that he had to leave the family something. So when he did go away, there would be monetary resources for us to kind of continue moving forward. But unbeknownst to me, that gym was going to be turned over to me as a 19-year-old sophomore in college. So I ended up leaving the University of Pittsburgh anyway. My grades were not good. I was not able to find the balance between social life and studies. It was better that I be closer to home. So I ended up moving back home, transferred to the University, Temple University in downtown Philadelphia, which was only an earshot away from where the gym was. So when my dad did go away, I basically went to school from 8 to 12 every day, Monday through Friday, and then would shoot to the gym get there by 1 o'clock, 12:30ish. And I was there till 9, 10. If I was closing the gym, 11 o'clock at night. And I learned a lot during those 2.5 years, not just about owning a business, not just about understanding that you have to be engaged with people and take an interest in people with your clients and your customers. But I learned a lot about myself, and I still have the letter in a little keepsake box that I have in my office. My dad actually gave me the letter because I had written him a letter when he was in prison that I was struggling because he was such a large presence, not just physically, um, but just energetically. He just exudes this just energy about him. It's hard not to notice him. And I kept saying in this letter that I wrote, I said, I can't be you. I can't do what you do. I can't, you know, be who you're being, and I can't do the things that you're doing. And this whole letter that he wrote me back was basically him giving me the advice of, I've never asked you to be anyone other than yourself. I don't want you to be me. I want you to be Scott. I don't want you to try to act as me. I want you to act as Scott. Find your voice, find your personality, find yourself in this experience. And it was really important advice that I got at the time because it really shaped me for everything else in the future. So there were a lot of ups and downs. We can probably do the entire episode on my life in the fitness industry, but we're not. So by the time that I exited the industry in 2016, I closed my gym, the last one. 3 years prior to that, I started doing coaching and consulting for other coaches and consultants using LinkedIn. And this came about because I was looking to stop trading time for dollars. And I wanted to take more of an online presence and approach to my clients. I didn't want to have to be surrounded by the four walls that I was in every single day just to trade time for dollars. And I was looking at the demographics of my client, and they were all business professionals. And I said to myself, what platform, social media wise, would prove to be most beneficial for me to put me in front of these people? And that answer was LinkedIn. So I got on there towards, I would say, Q2 2013, early Q3, and I just started plugging away. I changed my profile around. I started connecting, messaging, producing content. And at the time, it was all about helping busy business professionals with nutritional counseling and online fitness routines, or a hybrid of the two. And within about 8 months, I was able to match the revenue that I was making in person, trading time for dollars online. And I've always been scrappy, and I've always been outside the box as far as thinking wise. And I was just really surprised at how seamlessly easy this was. I wasn't doing anything crazy or special or hacking the system. It was a numbers game for me. So I reached out to a couple of friends of mine that were also in sales, and they were in the coaching and consulting space. And I said, listen, you guys have to, get on the LinkedIn. It's great. Everybody was using Facebook and Instagram at the time, and still are to this day, but it's completely different at this point. And one friend in particular wrote, texted me, and he said, dude, I don't know what you figured out, but this really works. You should call me. So I called him, and he goes, listen, you should be teaching this to other people. Like this, he goes, I have 14 appointments booked. You could be helping a lot of coaches and consultants that are struggling with gaining clients and sales. And I said, what are you talking about? He goes, listen, and this was kind of like another big aha moment for me. He said, you spent the last 15 years helping people and training people and coaching people to have healthy bodies. Now you can do the same thing, but help them to have healthy businesses. And that was kind of like the big aha moment, light bulb moment for me. I'm like, that's it. So that's when I kind of went full all in with LinkedIn and my strategy. I patented my flow and my system, and it's still what I'm doing today. I still do some coaching and consulting. I only take on about a client or two per quarter, but we have a community called the Expert Content Society, which helps business professionals create content on LinkedIn to really keep that visibility up and that thought leadership up and the consistency up. And I do some group coaching, and my wife and I run 3 businesses together, but all structured around helping people to create, run, and grow businesses that they love that they don't necessarily have to be tied to 24 hours a day, teaching them how to streamline processes, bring on a couple team members if they need to kind of take some things off of their plate. So not only will they love what they do, but they're going to love the life that they created.
That's great. Yeah, I think it's really, Scott, a big thing that people search for, and they search for it, or let's say they desire it, but don't know how to get it, right? And that's what you did, right? And that's why this became successful for you, because I did the same thing. 20 years, I'm the man, I'm making stuff happen. Yeah, I got people working for me, but it's always me every day. I'm out front, I'm winning the awards, I'm doing this stuff. I got to open the doors, that kind of thing. And I was so into doing that I was actually sacrificing the other stuff. Yeah, it'd be cool if I had that, but it didn't matter to me because I was so out front doing what I'm doing and I liked it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until I had children, got married, had children, and I'm like, oh, this kind of doesn't work anymore. Like it really didn't work anymore because now my time is no longer my own.
It's
Right?
funny that you said that because, 2012 is when my son was born, and that kind of really shifted things for me because if I wanted to be what my dad was to me, which was, my dad owned his own business, so he could coach me in sports and he could be at every game. And I was a very active athlete. I played baseball and basketball basically all year round. My son is on a different level. He loves everything. Currently, at the time that we're recording this, he's doing track and field, baseball, and flag football. So, but I have the luxury of, because I followed the path of my father and kind of creating my own economy and, running my business with my wife, that I can coach him if I want to. I did it for a couple of years, but I don't want to do that anymore. I just like to spectate at this point. But I get to see him do it. He's got a track meet at 4 o'clock after school. I'm going. I could be there. I don't like. It's just it's a wonderful luxury that anyone can have.
Yeah, I had the same thing. I got to train my kids. My son's now in the Marine Corps, right, doing awesome. And we got him to the Junior Olympics, whatever he wanted to do. All my kids, whatever he wanted to do, I'm there. That was my thing. When I lost everything 08, 09 and started over, well, this is what I wanted to do. I had 6 little kids, 4 years and younger. It was the perfect time to lose everything. People think that's odd because you got 6 little kids, a wife, you lose your home. And I'm like, but you don't understand. That was the best time to do it because now I had to reinvent, right? I had to find a way, like, that's what matters now. How do I still run a business? I'm a business guy. Okay, I want to have businesses. I want to do that. I was, already starting to teach people, coach them. But I said, how do I do that and still have this access to my family and homeschool them? We're homeschooling them all the way through. I want to coach them on, and we did it. And if I didn't lose everything in 08, 09, I would have still been the knucklehead out front doing the wrong stuff, ignoring my kids, and they'd all probably hate me, and who knows what they'd be doing today, right? So that was, for me, it was a really good thing. Just like you had the same kind of epiphany. You start to figure out, like, okay. And if you're like, when you're an entrepreneur, to me, a big thing is like, I am not into ceilings. I don't like limits. You can't tell me how much I can or cannot make. And I share this with people. I say, people like, I'm a union guy. I make $32 an hour. And I tell them, yeah, but you can't make 33. They won't let you. Okay. Like I don't see, it's a different mindset. So we get it. Like what you said is, how do I leverage myself? How do I get myself now and go online? I found LinkedIn. You can access a billion people. I know you're not doing exactly a billion, but you know what I'm saying? But like, you can pick and choose.
Lot, yeah.
You can set it up. You can leverage yourself with that technology, that access. And I did the same thing. And it's amazing. And it's the entrepreneurial mindset that causes you to look, and you have generations of that influence. Right. Which is really, really important because you've seen it and you got to see good and bad. Like my kids got to see good and bad. Right. And it's important. It's important for those around us. And I'll use my kids as an example to see failure. It's one of the best life lessons for them. So I never got like dejected. I'm like, well, I got to fix it. I'm a problem solver, kind of like you. Like, what are you going to do about it? And you didn't lose the gym. You wanted to make a full shift. That's a big deal because a lot of people, they can't, I call it the Spider-Man effect. They're not letting go of one web till the other web is on something. You know what I mean? It's like they kind of don't, that really holds people back. Not that you didn't have something to go to, but in an 8-month period, you're equaling the same income. Okay. That's astounding for something you spent all those years building, having that gym. But again, the gym, if you don't have, and you may have a couple, but it still has limits, right?
Well,
For
I think
you.
also, yeah, I think for me, Richard, it was also, I was not blind to changes in the industry. Competition was becoming very challenging. The mom and pop structure of a fitness club was slowly dying. And what was on the rise was these big box gyms that could afford to charge very, very low monthly fees. And it was putting all of us out of business. We had to charge $49 a month and I mean, our gym wasn't small. It was 12,000 square feet, but compared to a 30,000 square foot LA Fitness or Planet
Right.
Fitness that was
Yep.
half the price, if not a quarter of the price, we couldn't compete with that. So for me, I saw that a lot of people found the value in what I brought to the marketplace. And I said, well, online is becoming a really big thing. There's more people because I think also, Richard, everyone kept like people that I was friends with and grew up with and met throughout my life. I constantly would get Facebook messages from them saying, I wish I lived closer, or if I was still in the area, I would love to. And it was to work with me. And that kind of like kept replaying in my head. Well, this is a way for me now to work with people anywhere in the country and the world that wanted my help.
Yeah. And again, it's that entrepreneurial mindset that sees opportunity, right? You saw an opportunity, you're getting feedback, and then it's like, well, let's just solve that problem. How do I work with them? I did the same thing. I got certified. I was a certified personal trainer in 93. Okay. National Strength and Conditioning Association, right? Like the first ones, they're just coming out with certifications then for personal trainers and stuff, and it was difficult. But so I've been in the fitness industry even before then, right? So I've seen that. I mean, I know exactly what you're talking about, so I've seen all that. So when I opened mine, it was a boot camp style gym, it was 35-minute workouts. I did that model, really intense. You come, you get workout, and I'll get out of here and pay me $200 a month. Okay. And I'm open Monday through Friday. We're closed on the weekends. You got 7 different times in the day to come. And it was awesome. Right. It was really cool what we built because we had to be unique in that way too. Right. And it looked like I got out of that in time before all the other nonsense that happened in 2020 and everything. So we kind of all avoided that. I did, contract and everything else. But I like that you actually, saw the need. Okay. Because this is an entrepreneurial thing. Saw the need, figured out the way, and then filled the need. Because I'll tell you, when you talk about LinkedIn, I got on LinkedIn. Well, I'll say my office manager put me on LinkedIn in like 2008. Okay. Something like that, 7 or 8. And I'm like, what is this? I never used it. Right. So all these years go by and I'm like, I still have like 200 whatever connections. Now I don't. Now I use it more, but I'm like, what is this? Like it never was a thing for me. So I spent no time on almost any social media. So, you're lucky you found that niche where you can, I'll call it mine clients, right? You found a place, you found a big pond with just the right fish, right? And that's key. And you could fish there all day by yourself and reel in what you need, right? That was kind of the beginning with you. Cause I think the timing that you had, that 2013 time, that was a really good time to get into it like you did. I know it's still working, but do you feel that way? Do you feel like it was kind of that sweet spot of getting involved there before it's too inundated?
100%. So I will say LinkedIn is still the smallest of the social media platforms. There's only 1 billion people and people are like, oh my God, it's 1 billion people. Well, if you look at Facebook and Instagram, they're at 10 billion. I think TikTok's already at 3 billion, YouTube's at 2 billion. Like it's the smallest and it's all business. For me, I'm always open and honest and transparent with people because you still see these quote unquote LinkedIn experts saying that you can book 15 to 20 appointments a week on the platform. And that's complete BS. You can't because
Thank you. Good to hear.
LinkedIn has put strict limitations on the amount of connections you can send per week. They don't want you messaging too many people, but also there's a lot of spam messages on there as well. So back in the day, yes, I was booking 20, 30 calls a week organically. But still, when I still follow the same system that I created back then today, I'm still booking 5 to 10 calls every single week, which for anybody that's in any sort of position where their business is based on the connections that they create, the relationships that they create, I don't think there's anybody watching or listening to this that wouldn't love to have 5 to 10 extra conversations a week. Because if you compound that over a month, that's an extra 20 to 40, conversations a month. You compound that over an entire year, you're talking about an extra 250 to 500 extra conversations. So law of numbers are in your favor. You're going to see business growth from that.
Yeah, it's important to understand. And I think on that point, I think too many business owners, entrepreneurs, when they're trying to do this stuff on a LinkedIn like you're doing, they're not running these numbers. They're not understanding the compounding effect of 3 a week, 5 a week, 7 a week, and what that is, because everyone's looking for too quick of a win, and just, it doesn't exist. Okay. It's work, it's laying it out, it's follow up, it's all this stuff, no matter what the platform is, wherever you're at, there's no real magic to like, hey, I'll get 100 people this week, or I'm going to close, 25 new clients for 10 grand a piece this month. It's just like, you gotta base your life in reality, but understand that it's the time in the game, just like lifting. It's time under tension, right? The more time we're under tension, the stronger we get. The more we build, the bigger we get. Same principle. It's the same thing in this kind of stuff. When you're approaching a market, we'll call it a client acquisition via a new market, or a new platform, you've got to have that mindset. Do you find that too many people go in, they want this instant, like, yes, 10 days later, this isn't working. So it's like, that
Richard,
kind of stuff.
that drives me nuts. Like that absolutely is a trigger for me, because I'm just going to be open and honest. A person that has that mindset, they're never going to be successful in business.
Exactly.
Because, and I'm sorry if the person that's watching or listening to this, that really hit home, that may be you, because you're just jumping from one lily pad to the next. You're like, oh, I've tried this for a couple of days. It's not working. Guess it doesn't work. I'm going to go on to something else. And when you treat LinkedIn or anything in your business like 1K or an IRA that collects compounded interest over time, any financial advisor, a good financial advisor, always talks about, where do you want your portfolio to be at 55, at 60, at 65, right? So I started working with my financial advisor when I was 27 years old, and I'm going to be 46 in a couple of weeks. So I've been working with him for 19 years. And I still remember when I hired him to be my financial advisor at 27, he was saying to me at that time, where do you want to be financially, investment-wise, at retirement age? Because he was giving me the advice. He goes, you have to think long-term. You have to think about all the daily, weekly, monthly deposits that you make into this account, that compounded interest over time, as long as you keep feeding it, is going to create the end result that you're looking for. I use that same analogy with LinkedIn. You cannot get on there, connect with people for a couple of days, send 3 messages, and say, oh my God, it doesn't work. I recently saw this little video clip from Gary Vaynerchuk, and he's a big LinkedIn proponent, speaks very highly of it. He was at a trade show, and this guy approached him, and he said, hey, Gary, I'm looking for investors to this new business that I have, and LinkedIn's just not working. And he said, well, how many messages did you send? And he said about 25. And Gary turns to him and he says, F you. He goes, no, seriously, F you. He goes, come back and talk to me when you've messaged 2,500 people and tell me if all of them said no to an investment opportunity, then I would tell you to reevaluate what you're doing. But I can guarantee you, if you reached out to 2,500 different people, at least one of them will have an interest in what you're doing. And
Right.
that's my message to anyone that is currently on LinkedIn or is thinking about using LinkedIn. If you go into using LinkedIn with the long-term mentality and a long-term approach, you are absolutely going to crush it. But if you're going on there with the desire and the need that I have to have this work for me right now, I am in dire straits, don't do it. You're going to be severely disappointed because it is the long game approach. It is the marathon of social media platforms. It is not the 100-yard dash.
Well, here's the great thing about that. Exactly what you said. There was another marketer I heard, and I don't mention her name. There's any business. There's people who have high integrity. And there's other people looking to just make money, right? And the people who will tell you the truth, like you're doing here, right? And other people who won't. They're going to tell you you're going to do this. And she had said something I'll never forget. She's like, listen, if you're in dire straits, if you've got your last $1,000, $10,000, $100,000, do not come to me and think that marketing is going to save your business. You know what I'm going to tell you? Go knock on doors. Go sell your product to people. She's like, she was straight up, she said, do not bring the, don't, it's not gonna, because it's not that thing. Right. And it's exactly what you, and I'd love to hear you confirm that, right? Just like it's, and people need to hear that more, because marketers are really good at selling things like their thing to you, okay, to get in so they can do that. And then you go in with the wrong expectation. The key is a guy like you, Scott, and this other woman, when you set the expectation, the real deal, just like you just did, people will succeed because they know it going in. And again, they can run the numbers. Can I pay for this amount of time? Can I do this? Do I know exactly what I should expect? You know, what would be a typical or average, even below average ROI on this? And you can lay that out for them because you've been doing it for so long, and it gives them a place of comfort. Okay, because marketing, man, we've all lost money in marketing. I don't know if there's one business. I did a lot of stupid stuff. Okay, I have an $80,000 coffee cup I show people. This cost me 80 grand. This is all I got out of it. I spent 80 grand in marketing and I got a cool coffee cup, you know, so it's the family joke, you know, be careful with that cup. It's worth 80 grand, you know, so we've all been there, you know, and my point of this is just people need to understand like what they're getting into. Ask the questions and listen to what guys like you are saying, because you're speaking the truth. You're not hyping up any expectations. You're not overinflating anything. You're telling them how to win. Follow the system, stick to it, and win, right?
I'm also speaking from experience. You know,
Right.
I get triggered when I see all these people making it look too easy and saying that it's too easy and doing this, that, or the other, because a simple saying that I always tell people, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. When someone chooses to work with me, I am very open and honest with them. I work with people for 6 months and I work with them for 6 months for a reason. And I said, people get different results at different speeds, depending upon your business, depending upon your offer, depending upon your target market. Some target markets are very active on LinkedIn. Some are a little bit slow to react, and we have to give that time and attention, and we have to get crafty with some of the things that we do on there. And that's why I take such a holistic approach and human-centric approach to everyone that I work with, because at the end of the day, I just want people to win. And I don't make any false promises. I just tell people, I know LinkedIn will work for you. It's just a matter of when that tipping point comes in front of you, getting over that hump. I can't give you a crystal ball to look into to predict when that's going to happen, but I know if you continue to move forward each and every day through what I teach, you're going to see those results in due time.
Yeah, that's awesome. That really is really important. I think it's a great way to wrap this up, Scott, because I think that point, understanding that, you know, if people reach out to you, you know, you're going to take them through the process, right? You're going to give them everything you just said. And I think that's fantastic. I want to encourage people to do that. Okay. If you're really looking for that avenue, LinkedIn is going to be a fit. You'll tell them if it is or isn't, slow or fat, whatever it's going to be. I think that's fantastic. So how do people get in touch with you, Scott? How can they follow you? How they can get into your, whatever you got going on, how they can connect with you?
Yeah. Obviously, LinkedIn is the first best place to find me. You just search Scott Aaron Coach on LinkedIn. I'll pop right up. I produce content 6 days a week. I have a great newsletter that's approaching 10,000 subscribers. I do 2 LinkedIn Live video trainings every single week. So there's a lot of free resources out there. If you want to learn more deeply about connecting with me, you go to my website, scottaaron.net. And then you can also go to the company website of myself and my wife, which is thetimetogrow.com, to learn about all our products, services, and offers that may be a good fit for you.
That's fantastic. And of course, that'll all be in the show notes for everyone. Any final words, Scott, to leave us with some incredible wisdom from all your time in the game here?
Going back to something that you said about, failures, you're supposed to fail in business. If everyone was meant to succeed, no one would understand what resiliency and struggle is. And for me, I've always and continue to pride myself on overcoming obstacles, learning from my failures and my lessons to become better, to then be able to show other people how not to make the same mistakes that I did. And I think that is what leaders do. I think that's what people that care about other people do. And I really put myself without ego into that category, because my wife and I would not be doing what we were doing if A, we didn't love what we were doing, and B, people were not getting results from what we were teaching them. So I highly encourage anyone watching or listening, you don't have to go this journey alone. Connect with someone like myself, connect with someone like Richard, find someone that you resonate with that is doing what you're doing, and shorten the learning curve. Stop trying to piecemeal or patchwork quilt it together. Reach out to the person, and you can't look at investing in someone else and their knowledge as an expense. It's an investment. There's an ROI attached to that. And every single investment that my wife and I have made, whether it's a mastermind or a coach, there's always been a significant multiple X return, because we're learning something new, we're action takers, we're coachable, and all we want to do is become better for ourselves so we can make all those around us better at the very same time.
I love it, man. That's an incredible ending. I have nothing to add. I yes and amen to all that. So guys, connect with Scott, and we will see you on the next STS podcast. And don't forget, revenue feeds the ego, profit feeds the family. So if you want to see how I can show you at least $100,000 in hidden annual profits in less than 3 minutes, and not only show you where, but how to create that 100K in 6 months or less without additional advertising or marketing spend, guaranteed, just go to sharpenthespearcoaching.com. See how truly simple it is. That's sharpenthespearcoaching.com. Do it now.